Franklin County Board of County Commissioners now in session for this Tuesday, May 17th regular meeting. If you would, let's start the meeting off with prayer and pledge. Please stand. Father, we thank you today for this day that you've given to each every one of us. God, we thank you for understanding, discretion, and insight that you can give, because you said if we lack wisdom, we can ask of you, you would give it to us. We seek your face today and your wisdom today as we handle the business of the people of Franklin County. Thank you for it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
So, don't want to be sounding like I did at the last meeting, but we do have a 1:30 afternoon workshop. So I would ask the board to consider that as we try and move through today's agenda. I would say don't be deceived by the small amount of items on it. I would say not to call her out, but Mrs. Griffith's report has quite a few items that might spark some conversation, and so we want to try our best to get through today as quickly as possible, so we are on time for the 1:30 workshop. I believe, commissioners, that we're going to have quite a few people coming over from Alligator Point this afternoon for that workshop. There's been quite a few speaker cards actually for that. That's in the other folder. And so I guess we want to be able to try and start that meeting as soon as possible, on time this afternoon is basically what I guess I'm trying to say. And with that, sir, I'm sorry, I turn it back over to you, sir.
Okay. Next on the agenda is approval of minutes from the last meeting and from the workshop that we had last meeting.
So move.
All right, a motion to approve by Commissioner Bolt.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That is unanimous. Next would be the payment of the county bills.
So move.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Parrish.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lockley. Any discussion, commissioners? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous. Up next, Special Project Coordinator, Mr. Alan Pierce, about the East Point and 2 Mile Dredge update.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm going to start this my discussion out with a quotation. I've never done this before, and I suspect in the history of Franklin County it's never happened, nor in the history of the South in any county commission meeting. But I'm going to start with a quote from William Faulkner, because Mr. Faulkner, a Southern American novelist, has a sentence that encapsulates my experience with the Corps of Engineers, and I just think it's totally appropriate. So here we go. When the last ding-dong of doom has clanged and faded from the last worthless rock hanging tideless in the last red and dying evening, there will even then still be one more sound, the puny, inexhaustible voice of a man talking. Well, I don't want to be talking about the Corps of Engineers at the end of time. I'm tired of this process. So I'm going to just read to you a quote from the Corps regarding the status. And this is nothing negative, but it's just continuing to eat time. There's some Ashley Kleinshoff. She's the chief of basically the project as far as public relations. And she says, good morning, I just want to provide a quick update. This came in last week, so some of this is old news already. We received the contractor's final proposal yesterday after negotiating, and we should have the task order awarded by Friday. Now, that was last Friday. Once awarded, the contractor must submit hard copy bonds before they can get the notice to proceed. After we receive and approve their submittal documents, such as the safety plan, environmental plan, etc., we will then schedule a pre-construction meeting, which will include the county, the Corps, the prime subcontractors, and any necessary consultants. So, I mean, they say they're moving forward. It's not visible to the public. It's not visible to any of us who have been waiting and waiting and waiting. But this is their statement, and I just read it to you for what it's worth. I think the chairman had a conversation that may be a little more enlightening, but they don't appear to be worried about hurricane season this year like they were last year. So hopefully we're moving forward, but that's the only statement I can give you.
Well, to add to that, Alan, yes, I asked point blank about the concern with it being close to hurricane season, and the two different people I talked to from the Corps said that they were going to have to, for all their projects, that's not something they can consider. Because if they shut everything down for hurricane season, then they're even worse or further behind than they are now. So they have several projects that they need to do. They're just gonna have to be done whenever they get started. So hurricane season or not, so that's what they communicated to me.
I'll be glad to answer any questions, but I do presume that, by June and the other good news, Mr. Chairman, as you know, is that once they have the pre-construction conference, it's not a long, the pre-construction conference is the last step before they always start dredging. So at that point, for all I know, there may be a dredge boat in the area. I don't know, but they've told us that immediately post pre-construction conference, they will start dredging. I was afraid that pre-construction conference was in advance of staging and all that kind of stuff. No, they'll be ready to go.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for Mr. Pierce?
Yeah.
Alan, thank you. All right, up next is public comments. And I'll take them in the order they're laying here. First is Mr. John Berry.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, fellow commissioners. I appreciate the opportunity to address you after trying technology-wise to get here.
Please state your name for the record, sir.
My name is John Berry. I live at 1389 Alligator Drive, Alligator Point, Florida. My first comments are, as I did attend via Zoom the State Fire Marshal presentation on the volunteer fire departments and the responsibility of the State Fire Marshal as opposed to the county oversight, from what I ascertained from that meeting. I have a few points I'd like to address to Mr. Schuler, please, sir, and that is, hopefully there are contracts that are going to be developed with the volunteer fire departments throughout Franklin County. Hopefully they will address the status, and then you will at some time address the status of that contract development. Will these contracts address the conveyance?
Mr. Berry.
Yes.
Sorry, don't mean to interrupt you. It is your time. Please address the board.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let me rephrase it.
That's fine.
I would hope the board would address these contracts and the conveyance of title for all fixed assets, lands, building, and firefighting equipment. They are purchased via MSBU funds, and those assets, if you get into a situation where you have a defunct or non-responsive 501c4, which is a nonprofit that you've contracted with verbally, that you have some means or some vehicle to acquire those assets quickly, both liquid, fixed, and firefighting equipment, without having to go back to the court to try to find a way to do it. Also, the transfer of securities, i.e. CDs and other types of liquid securities that have been purchased with MSBU funds. And I bring this up because of the experience, commissioners, that I had when I audited certain volunteer fire department in this organization, in this county. I am a CPA, so I would like to put that credentials forward. Also, that there would be a provision in your contracts for periodic audits, not agreed upon procedures and those types of accounting oversight, but audits themselves, financial, as to that are tied to the corporation. And I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Berry.
Thank you, John.
Wayne Williams. Please come forward, state your name for the record. You have 3 minutes, Wayne.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Wayne Williams. We've got an oyster group together right now with over 400 members. I want to talk a little bit about Apalachicola Bay. There's been a communication problem between the people, the boards, and I mean really what's going on. And we're here to try to get some of that straight, and I'd like for the commission board and other people to get involved and maybe help with proposals when times come in the future. Maybe put it on y'all's agenda. And there's a lot of issues right now that I ain't got time to talk about, but I mean, you know, everybody wants the bay open just as soon as they can, and that's a process right now. So, and there's a lot more to this management plan than just, you know, trying to stick a bunch of harsh regulations in there, such as bag limits on black drum and working on the river. Back in 2019, they suspended spraying in the river. Seems like the oysters have been coming back ever since. I think it does a lot more damage than good as far as the hyacinths and hydrilla supposedly choke out the native plants, but seems to me like it kills more native plants by spraying than it does, you know, with the hydrilla and hyacinth being there. So I'd like to see, you know, stuff like that put into this management plan. I believe we could create a lot of jobs if we could get a market on this stuff and harvest it mechanically and let independent workers harvest this stuff. I mean, they're doing it in other countries right now. It makes good compost. And compost, believe me, is a hot item right now because I just paid $60 for a little scoop. So, I mean, it sells. So, I mean, I think that we can do this in a safe, economical, and environmental way. So, and that's about all I got to say right now. And if y'all got any questions.
Thank you, Wayne. We appreciate it.
All right, thank y'all.
Oh, you got a question, Wayne?
Y'all,
He's gonna ask you a question.
Mr. Wayne, y'all got a group, y'all gonna be the new association?
We should soon have a new association together. It's in the process. We're just waiting for approval. We got a lot of support, a lot of people, you know, ready to get on board with this here. And just as soon as we're approved and it's official, we'll start holding our meetings.
Okay, well, when
And-
y'all get official, how about let us know?
Okay, I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna keep in contact with y'all. I really, you know, need y'all's support here, and I'll definitely keep y'all informed of, you know, everything that's going on too, so.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Wayne, I wanted to reinforce your concern about how the bay is coming along. It was in November of last year where I initiated a meeting with Florida Wildlife Commission to give us some sort of a progress report written in layman's language about how the bay is doing. Nothing technical, nothing big deal, but just something that the people can read about what it was before in a certain study area and what it is now, and just some idea of the progress of the bay. We're still trying to pursue that, to get together with them, to get that public out there, some public type message that we can put in the paper, that type of thing. So just wanted to let you know we're sensitive to what you just said.
Okay, I appreciate that. I'm actually taking FWC officers or biologists out. We took some out the other day.
Are you?
Yeah.
Good.
And it looked really good where the materials were put on the bottom, and we didn't check a lot of the other areas that much, but I mean, there's definitely oysters growing out there and look really good. And we're going to be keeping up with that, and I'm hoping we can eventually check the whole entire bay. So, and I'll be keeping everybody up on that. The group we've got, you can find it on Facebook. It's called Oystermen on the Bay. You can find a lot of information there. And we're going to keep everybody up with what's going on from that site right now.
Yeah, just keep us informed too.
Yeah,
like
please.
Like Commissioner said.
Yeah, and we'll
That'd be
keep
great.
y'all informed, and
Yep.
I hope when the time comes and we need to make some serious decisions, maybe we can put it on the agenda. So,
Yep.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Wayne.
thanks.
Chris Crosby? Just come forward and state your name for the record, sir. You have 3 minutes.
Good morning, Chris
Morning.
Crosby. I got a couple of things I'm gonna bring. First, I wanna talk about the St. James Lane Fire Department again. I know it seemed like we're beating a dead horse about it, but, you know, we are in, you know, fire season here for Florida. I mean, the spring and the summer is wildfire season, and a lot of these homes, y'all know where it's at. It's on the edge of that St. Joe property. And just, you know, I appreciate what y'all doing, you know, and it needs, you know, it's a timely matter to get this done, and I appreciate what y'all doing. Second thing I'm bringing, as going door to door and talking to people, it was brought to my attention about Classy Larry Park in Carabel, which is on the south side of 98. And Mr. Marone, if you don't mind passing these out, I got one for each commissioner. As you know, that for any kid, you know, growing up, you know, being taught by the parents right from wrong, and having a place to go, it's important for a kid. And that's the first stage of, you know, growing up and knowing right from wrong and getting off the streets and all that. Well, this park, y'all, as y'all see, it's a county park, and there's only 2 toys on this whole park. And it's been brought to my attention, and I was asked to bring it up and see if we can get some new toys out here. And I spoke briefly with Fonda. Let's let him know that I was bringing it up. This was brought to me last night, and I kind of threw this together. And if the board has got some funding, you know, I'd like, if possible, to see some more items out there for them. You know, it is a county park, and you know, I think the first step is working with the kids. And so, if y'all have any questions, I'll be, you know, welcome to ask. If not, I'll see y'all after the meeting.
Thank you, Chris. All right, Ms. Michelle Maxwell, Clerk of Court. All right. Mr. Howard Neighbors, Superintendent of Roads and Bridges.
Good morning, Commissioners. How y'all doing?
Doing good, Howard. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I've got no action items this morning, but we have been cutting grass and still doing the ditches, putting in culverts, and also back on sign maintenance, replacing a lot of signs and bent posts throughout the county, which is a lot of them.
Yep.
We've been working on that off and on for probably about a year. And another concern too, Commissioner, is about our fuel. I know our fuel is going way high from, you know, what it was a year ago, so we kind of keep an eye on that also.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? Michael, can we have that door closed, please?
Sure, I'll close half of it, yes, sir. Give me one, if I could, 1 sec, I do have an item, then I'll go back into the door, is that okay?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay, Commissioners, if you pull out my report, the insert in your packet there, that's probably the one in the back. If you go to the second page, I'm on item D. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Commissioner.
No, we got to leave some move for the sunset.
No, as long as they know, well, we leave halfway open, but I saw you look and I just want to let you know, yeah, once we do half, they know. And we could put a sign outside the door too, saying we're in meeting. But anyway, I'm sorry if everybody's at D. Attached to my report are 4 Florida Department of Corrections interagency public works agreements for community work squad. Basically, commissioners, inmate labor. That's what these are for. They're contracts for Parks and Rec, the Road Department, Landfill, and Mosquito Control. These contracts are for 3 years and may be renewed for an additional 3 years. It took a while for us to get it to the board because they didn't do one for mosquito control for some reason, so we had to negotiate with them to get a contract done with specific inmates, okay? So that's why, and so they're here for your approval, and again, they'll start effective if we approve it today, and it'll go for 3 years. I would like the board to make a motion contingent on Attorney Schuler's reviewing the contracts. But
So, question, are all of these, no, Mr. Davis is over Parks and Rec and Landfill, Road Department, Mosquito Control is different people, everybody's aware of the contract, the
Yes.
terms of the contract? Okay.
Yes. Actually, Virginia assisted, didn't she do it with mosquito control? We increased the one, landfill. Howard wanted that increased, so we increased that. And I don't quite know what negotiations Fonda had with them, if any, because he saw the contracts. I guess he was good with his numbers.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And DOC is good with the increases and they know what? we're
Yes,
asking them to do.
yes. It took a while for them to get it approved, the increase at the landfill and the additional contract for mosquito control. That's what took a while, because it had to go back up to the state for their approval.
Okay. Pleasure of the board.
So move.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion, commissioners? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That's unanimous.
That's it as it relates to any of your department directors.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Neighbors?
No, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to thank him for going out, having his guys go out to McKissack Beach, the old Carabel Beach yesterday, and completely repaired that drive. Had a lot of people wanting to go use that area, and I've had a lot of issues from homeowners in the area, not wanting people in the area, but it is a public beach, and it is their right to enjoy that public beach, and I wanted a way to make sure that happened, and Howard and his guys went out there yesterday and got all that done. It also helped the city in the interim by doing so. I just want to thank him for that. Thank you, Howard and your guys. I saw Miles
You're welcome.
Lamar and Danny out there yesterday. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The area you're talking about, is that McKissick Beach?
It's
Down
the-
where that turnaround's at?
Yeah,
Is that what you're-
old, right there
Yeah.
at the curve where Enzy's is.
Old Beach.
Old beach, yep.
Okay. Anyone else? Mr. Neighbors, thank you. Make sure you can tell your crew that we say thank you as well for all y'all do for the county.
Yes, sir, I do, Commissioner. Thank y'all.
All right?
Can I say something?
Yes, sir.
Oh, we need to keep all them spots open that belong to the public, cause people move in
Yes.
and they trying to close it.
Yeah.
That's not their property, it's public property, and the people got a right to go to the beach.
They do.
So it ought to be signage and everything there. And if the homeowners violate that signage, you do something to them.
No.
Cause the people got the right. It's public beach. It's not private. All of them should be open.
Public means public, that's for sure. Mr. Neighbors, one thing before you go, I just want to mention, not for you, but for the board. One of our bigger items that we're gonna have to think about in the next immediate future, or what we're gonna do, is how we are funding road paving. Here's what I mean. I bring it up because you're still here with us, Howard. So I asked Mr. Neighbors yesterday, we have about 235 miles of road in Franklin County. At our current rate of just using our gas tax for paving, it's about $306,000 or $10,000 a year. And when we went out for bid here on 38 a month or so ago, it was $1 million a mile. And if you think our roads are bad now, if we continue to not find a way to fund them, you don't want to be driving on them 10 years from now. Because we're talking about millions of dollars, not hundreds of thousands. So just food for thought for the board. We are going to have to find a way to do it. I don't know what it's going to entail. I don't have a plan. I just know it's a real problem. I just wanted to mention it today.
Yes, sir, Commissioner, that, I told you yesterday, just roughly guessing, but
Yes,
it's 203 miles exactly what we got. Okay, road.
That helps us out by about 20 million, so that's good.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Howard. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir, you're welcome.
All right, Mr. Fonda Davis. You're next, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
No action item this morning, just a couple items, information items. The first one would be under the used waste oil. In October 2018, we placed used oil containers throughout the county. Since then, the amount of oil that we have accumulated has increased. Listed below are the previous prices and the current prices that we're getting. We went from, in 2019, $2,000 a year on used oil, and we're right now at $9,000. Again, that's all the oil and the water that's being accumulated for the drop-off sites throughout the county. The next item I have for you, for board information again, is the Amnesty yard trash. And since Hurricane Michael in 2018, we have Amnesty yard debris at a day, no cost to homeowners. Our adopted policy states that yard debris should be amnesty only on Mondays. Again, since Michael, we have been amnestying the yard trash to homeowners every day. Again, no action item. I just want to let you all know what's going on.
Well, I want to ask you a question about the used oil.
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to remember, but wasn't that paid for with a grant that we get for taking care of that kind of material?
We do get the solid waste grant,
Okay.
but that's not included in it.
I thought it was. Because
Okay.
when we had the discussion, they had, at the current time, our solid waste grant was $10,000 a year. And after we talked to them about doing this used oil disposal, they said they were gonna make it 20 a year instead of 10. Did they not do that?
I hadn't seen that grant.
Well, we need to find out about that.
Okay.
Yeah, because that was the whole thing when Mr. Morone and I met with them. I actually had to do it at work there. What that was now Carquest, it was Napa then, and we were talking to people from the state. And I said, look, my only question is, I sell oil here like people sell cold drinks. Where do you think it's going?
Right.
Is it being disposed of proper? Or is it going in the bay? And then there's yeah, we think we can find a way to help you get that done.
Okay.
So I mean, that was the discussion we had in the front of it. If that's not the way it is, we need to address it though.
I remember you bringing it up, but
Yes.
again, like I said, I hadn't received it. So I hadn't seen it. I would double check.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay. That's all I have.
It's all good. Anyone else have any questions for Mr. Davis?
One comment, Mr. Chairman, and as Fonda alludes to the $9,375 we paid for having the oil collected, that was in 2021.
Mhm.
There's gonna be more this year,
Oh, yeah.
just like everything else is
Going
going up. Don't know what the numbers are gonna be for 2021 or 2022, but it's definitely gonna be higher than 2021. I have an oil collection device at my work, and I know our price to have that oil collected, and it's only a 55-gallon drum. What that cost is, it's more than double.
Yeah. It's really different. I can remember, of course, I've probably been doing this too long.
Yeah.
At the older parts, they used to pay us to pick it up,
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
right? Because they were able to recycle, they were able to do something with it. You know, now we
And-
have to pay them to pick it up.
Right. And it's they charge us $1.50 a gallon.
That's cheap.
Yeah.
Don't tell them that though.
Yeah.
Because I think the last time we got it picked up, it was almost $3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have one other thing,
Yes, sir.
in reference to Mr. Crosby on the playground equipment for Class LR.
Okay.
If you all remember, come back to the board asking that I use, part of my auction proceeds
Yes.
to get the playground equipment, and y'all agreed to it. It is on back order. So it's, back in March, they told us it takes about 16 to 20 weeks before we could get it. And if we go back and look, from March, 16 to 20 weeks, put us about mid-July probably. So, yes, just want to let you all know that.
Getting things right now is very difficult.
Yes.
Actually, obtaining things is very difficult. I know this is a personal side, but we're remodeling the sanctuary at the church. We ordered chairs in October. We still don't have chairs,
Yes.
you know, because y'all helped us out. So, yeah,
I
you know what I
know.
mean? It's just the way it is.
Same thing with the vehicles and the equipment, you know, you order, here it is, we about in another fiscal year ago, and we still hadn't got some of it, so it's tough.
Thank you, Mr. Davis.
Yes, sir.
Great.
That's it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Just put a sign up to coming soon.
Yeah.
Jerry Fonda, he said he wants you to put a coming soon sign up. So the
Put a
commissioner
sign
said-
that coming soon.
He said, the commissioner said you need to put up a sign that says coming soon.
Coming soon?
Yeah, there you go.
That'll work.
Yeah, that'll take care of that.
There we go. Where you
Okay.
are.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you for everything you and your crew do on behalf of the county. Ms. Pam Brunell, Emergency Management Director. Hey, Jen.
Hey, good morning, Commissioners. We have no action items. I have two quick things I just want to bring up. One, we are doing our Build Your Disaster Bucket event this weekend in East Point at Vrooman Park. We're going to have free hot dogs to give out, free drinks, free disaster supplies. We're also going to have, thanks to Fonda, a bounce house for kids to play in. We hope it's going to be a really good event where people can come get supplies and help to get them prepared, our community. But it's also going to be a lot of fun. Everyone can get together too. So that's this Saturday at Vrooman Park from 10 to 3. And the only other thing was I wanted to tell, I'm very excited. We just got back from Governor's Hurricane Conference, and we were able to help with getting an answer for the Island View Park project. I know Aaron's got to be as excited as I am about it. But we talked to FDM Recovery, and it looks like I think we're going to be able to move forward with it. So yay, that's wonderful.
Yes.
And
Thank you,
actually,
Jen.
while we have Jenny on,
Yes.
if I could go ahead and do that item on my
Please
report,
do.
because I want to give credit where credit is
Please
due.
do.
Good idea.
Please do.
Okay, it's going to be item G on my report, the FEMA repairs to Island View Park. Franklin County followed all proper procurement steps to receive competitive bids for this project. The bid solicitation was advertised in both the Panama City News Herald, the Apalachicola Times, posted to the online governmental bid platform Demand Star, posted with the Office of Supplier Diversity, and circulated to their list of vendors, and posted on the county website. There were 9 contractors who requested copies of the bid specifications from Dewberry Engineers, and 4 contractors who attended the mandatory pre-bid meeting held on March 17th. When bids were opened on April 5th, 2022, there was only one bid. As only one bid was received, FEMA deemed the procurement to be non-competitive. FEMA may reimburse costs incurred under a contract procured through a non-competitive proposal, also referred to as sole source, only under certain circumstances. Franklin County submitted all supporting documentation to FDEM to confirm that all steps were taken to ensure open competition, and asked for the circumstance to be reviewed for an exception to the competitive procurement. While attending the Governor's Hurricane Conference several weeks ago, Jennifer Daniels, the Assistant Director for Emergency Management, made contact with several decision makers at FDEM and was able to get a formal acknowledgement from FDEM this past Friday, which stated that FDEM and FEMA were in agreement with the county that the bid met the requirements needed for the last bullet for a non-competitive procurement identified within the Papa G, Volume 3.1, page 31. Which states, FEMA may reimburse costs incurred under a contract procured through non-competitive proposal only when one or more of the following apply. In those items, the one that would actually qualify for us would be after solicitation of a number of sources, competition is determined inadequate. Board action to issue a notice of award to North Florida Construction Incorporated for the Island View Park repairs and authorize the chairman to sign the notice of award and contract documents.
So moved, finally.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Bolt,
Second.
second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion, Commissioners?
Just thank you, Jennifer.
Oh, no, thank you, Aaron. I'm glad we got it done, girl.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. Good team.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That is a 5-0 vote, unanimous.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Jen, thank you very much. Is there anything else?
Thank you. No, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone have any questions or concerns for Ms. Daniels? All right, thank you, Jennifer. Thank y'all for everything you do. Mr. Eric Lovestrand, Extension Office Director for Ifas.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
I did not have any action items for you, but I did want to direct your attention to the last item on my report. That one was referencing that I sent in some tissue samples from a palm tree in Apalachicola that have tested positive for what I believe is a new disease here for record for this county. It's called lethal bronzing disease, and it's phytoplasma that's very similar to the pathogen that has been killing a lot of coconut palms in particular in South Florida and around the Caribbean. That was called lethal yellowing disease. It acts in the same way. It's basically transmitted by a very small insect vector, a plant hopper species. And once a tree has it, just like citrus greening, there really is no effective cure for the tree that has it. There is actually, however, a treatment that can be used to protect trees that do not have the disease yet, which involves drilling, injecting oxytetracycline into the tree. But that's something that would need to be done on a quarterly basis, basically every 3 months, to protect healthy palm trees. And this disease is one that is actually attacking our native sable palm, which most people know as the cabbage palm. So it was a cabbage palm that I took samples from that was located right on Avenue E, Highway 98, in front of one of the churches right here in downtown Apalachicola. And you might have noticed there's a new dead palm tree there that really declined fast once the symptoms started. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. It could be a factor that really kind of changes our landscape if they don't figure out some way to actually cure trees once they get it, because you don't know the tree has it until it shows symptoms, and at that point it's too late to really do anything for that tree right now as things stand.
Well, why they ain't just cut the tree down? It ain't no good.
I'm sorry?
Why they just, the tree ain't no good, cut it down.
Yeah, well, that tree's no good. It's totally dead now.
It's a problem sitting up there gonna fall on. You got all these people walking past it, that thing fall on somebody.
Right, it's gonna require removal and replacement if they want a tree in that spot. I guess it's in the city boundaries, that tree. But I believe it's gonna be similar to when we found citrus greening here back in 2016, I believe. The more we look, I think the more we're gonna find, because I've seen several trees that show symptoms, concerning symptoms to me. But it's an expensive test. It's $75 to send a sample off to get it diagnosed to the palm disease laboratory. And I footed the bill for that one because it was one that I was concerned about finding out more about. And that cost has got to come from somewhere if a lot of trees are going to start being sampled and tested for it.
Well, the city got that old dumb rule talking about you can't cut a tree and it don't make sense. I wish it fall on one of their damn heads.
Is there anything else, Mr. Eric?
No, sir, that's it. Just that information item I wanted to make sure you guys were aware of.
Okay, does anyone have any questions or concerns for Mr. Lipstrand? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. DeWitt-Polis, Mosquito Control.
DeWitt-Polis, Franklin County Mosquito Control. Just have some informational items for you this morning, Commissioners. In the report that you received, I had my seasonal employees that 2 of the 3 have returned. Since then, starting tonight, all 3 of them back to work. And we also had an assessment done by FDACS last week, the future needs and the things that we want to do in the future for mosquito control we'd like to do. And I'll be reporting some of that to you at the next meeting. We're currently doing some chemical resistance, continue to do that. We just want to stay on top of it because there is some resistance in a lot of counties, not locally, but farther south from the pyrethroids. But so far we haven't had any of that, so we're actually pursuing that. Of course, we started our seasonal spraying back in April the 20th. We continue to do that, and you can see there our spray schedule. And I talked with Commissioner Ward. She said she was actually going to post that. But at the bottom there, you can see the mosquito requests that we received. The mosquito population is really down from the drought. Getting more calls about yellow flies than I am anything right now. Not a whole lot we can do about that. Just inform the public that they can, use the beach balls, and they're fairly effective. But let me flip it over here. We got some trap counts on the back there for you. We have zones 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 throughout the county. We're currently trapping in 4 of those zones. I actually want to talk to Commissioner Bold about maybe placing a 5th trap down in Alligator Point. But In zone 1, you know, shows our rates. We have to have a minimum of 25 per night to be able to adulticide. We haven't had any problem meeting those thresholds at all, so, in every zone. So that's basically where we're at. And so one of the things I do want to talk about real quick is the mosquito control website. I would like to, you know, get that up and go. And Virginia's actually pursuing that, and a little more information for the public. And I told Commissioner Ward this morning, with the FDACs, one of the things we want to pursue is the educational programs. There's a lot of opportunities to go into schools and different events like with Jennifer and those that we could participate, but right now we just don't have the resources to buy the stuff that we need to do that, to give out to the public. I have been to the schools, ABC school, and done a program with the assistance of Beach Mosquito Control. They come over with their van and their equipment, which is a tremendous amount of help. But I'd like to pursue that because I feel like the educational side of that for the public is going to be a win-win for the whole county. So, any questions?
Okay. Steve, let me ask you a question. Up in 3, the mosquito control is good. Y'all doing a good job, but can you do anything with them yellow flies?
I wish we could, Commissioner. We, and I tell people we could spray the yellow flies late in the evenings, but we really don't like to start spraying till dusk. And but we would have to crank those sprayers up so high and increase the droplet size till what would happen is it would affect the beneficial insects that we have, because the yellow flies really, he's hard to kill. And so what we're doing now is just, you know, telling people, you know, the beach ball with the tanglefoot on it is really the best thing we can do. They'll be here for, you know, a few weeks and then they'll be gone, but they're horrible right now, and that's most of our complaints.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot we can do.
I got bit by one mosquito and bit the yellow fly.
I think the yellow flies are eating the mosquitoes right now.
Very possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anyone have any questions or concerns for Mr. Polis, other than what we've talked about? Mr. Polis, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, DeWitt.
Thank you, Commissioners.
All right, Mr. Ted Musteller, Interim Airport Manager.
Good morning, all. Ted Mosteller, Airport. I don't have any action items this morning. I think Michael may have one, though. But I do have something for you to what you would like to do with it. Michael, if you'll pass them out. Take one, too. This is a copy of the airport license just received. Now we have to get in gear and get the promises I made to the inspector taken care of.
Good.
And we are doing that. 2 or 3 of the gigs have been taken care of already, but we've got to get that runway open yet. And everything else is on my report to you for your information.
Mr. Morone, was there anything that you had on your report?
I do. One action, one informational. I pulled my insert my report back out in front of you, or hit it on your iPad, whichever is easier, Commissioners. Item C. At your last meeting, the board opened sealed bids for an airport apron rehab project. The project scope includes concrete pavement replacement, crack repair, and joint seal removal and replacement. Only Pettibone Concrete Construction from Panama City, Florida responded to the advertisement for sealed bids. Attached to my report is a recommendation of award from AVCON, and John Collins is on the line in case you have any questions. That includes their review of Pettibone's bid, the grant application, to the seal bid. Attached to my report is a recommendation of award from AVCON that includes their review of Pettibone's bid, the grant application, FAA form 5100-101, and 6 required FAA certifications for approval and signature today. The FAA is providing $600,000 in funding, and the bid came in much lower than anticipated, so about half of the overall apron will be awarded for this project, more than originally anticipated. A snapshot of the pavement that will be funded by the FAA. I also attached that to my report. So I'm asking the board for action to approve this project and authorize the chairman's signature on all required FAA forms.
So move.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Bolt,
Second.
second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That is unanimous.
On the second page, item F, last Tuesday, Mrs. Griffith, Mr. Mosteller, Mr. Chance White from the office, he had some experience out there at the airport, and I met to review the inventory of the airport maintenance equipment. We decided on what equipment will be repaired, what's going to be replaced, or sent to auction. That list will be presented to the board at our upcoming meeting for your approval. In addition, Mr. Mosteller is seeking quotes to extend the storage shed to properly store and secure and protect the maintenance equipment, and a secured area to store tools and an operating area for the airport manager. Those quotes will also be presented to the board for review and approval at a future meeting. We're good, Ted?
Yep.
All right.
Great, Ted.
Commissioners, anyone have any questions or concerns? While we're still talking with Mr. Mosteller about the airport.
Yeah, where y'all have your auction at? Where y'all send y'all stuff at to be auctioned off?
It'll go to the county auction,
We will
sir.
send it to the county auction, correct, Aaron? Yeah, the same one out by the road department.
Okay, I thought it was different.
And as we don't have a whole lot of equipment right now, it may even be something where, John Sewell from Florida Auction Network actually has it, on his location.
Yeah.
Okay.
That money will go right back into the airport again to pay for new equipment.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you, Mr. Ted.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you for this.
Thank you.
I like this.
Little souvenir.
Yeah, I'm gonna frame it.
Mr. Morone, going into our presentation, is there anything you need to do, or we're good?
I think we're good because I see Mr. Rito, his smiling face right up there on Zoom. I think Mr. Morgan is here, if he would raise his hand.
Yep, there's
Mr. Morgan is out there, and in front of Mr. Morgan is Mr. Tim Center from Community Action, so we have everybody in the house, sir. Kind of.
Understand. As in-house as they required to be.
Yes, sir.
All right, so up next is Ship Program Administration presentations, Appalachia Regional Planning Council.
And before you go to them, just some background information. Commissioners, remember Lori notified us, our current ship administrator, that she would not resign the upcoming admin contract, which starts July 1. The board discussed this. I recommended, the board agreed to turn to our, and I call you guys our government support agencies. That's a term that I use. This is not a competitive bid. There's no hard feelings one way or the other. As a matter of fact, I believe they would be able to team up on certain items. It would be to the discretion of the board which of the agencies you would prefer to take the lead on the ship administrative program. And gentlemen, am I correct? Am I good? Yes, Tim, Mr. Morgan, Chris is shaking his head. So that's where we are. So we asked them if they would send us a proposal, and you have both proposals in front of you, and it's your option today to question them both and make a decision in what direction we're going in as soon as we can, so that Lori and whichever agency is taking the lead would in fact have some good transitional time before July 1. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll walk away, and we can, Chris can start, or whichever way you want to go.
In the agenda, the letter A is Appalachia Regional Planning Council.
Yes, sir.
So please proceed, Chris. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, fellow commissioners. Thanks for the opportunity to present on our proposal. And as Michael said, you all have a copy and have reviewed it. I'd just like to speak a little bit about some things that aren't in the proposal. The housing program for the Arpc is one of our newer programs, and I think we just eclipsed 3 years now. We stood up a housing program after Hurricane Michael when Calhoun County reached out to us and asked us to administer their Hurricane Housing Recovery Program, the HHRP program. So much like Tim, if we are asked to do something, we'll figure out a way to make it work. We hired two very good housing planners, Donald Morgan, who's over there with you right now, is our housing program manager. They tackled this program for Calhoun County and have been administering it successfully now for 3 years. And in doing so, we're able to gain the trust of Calhoun County, and they have now taken over the SHIP program for Calhoun. Word spread over to Jackson County, and Jackson County asked if we could assist with their SHIP program, and we're now helping Jackson County as well. So in the proposal, it talks about having, Donald and Amber, our housing planners. But if you all were to select us, we would need to hire an additional housing planner to take on this additional workload. But we are certainly excited for the opportunity. We're here as an extension of your staff. We want to expand the program. We know that SHIP can be one of those difficult programs for counties to run because there can be turnover. And the regional plan councils, over the years have stood up these programs when necessary to augment staff, at the local level. We're happy to do that. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have specifically about the proposal. And Donald, who is kind of our subject matter expert in this, is probably more qualified to answer some of the more technical questions.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, commissioners? Yes, sir.
Commissioner Lockley, I remember your concern just last time about having a base right here where people can come in the door, sit down and talk with somebody. How will you guys be able to relate to our people one-on-one in an area where they're familiar to come to and talk with you about applications?
I'm going to defer this one to Donald, since it's a great question, certainly a valid concern. And this is something, the way we've currently handled it, both in Jackson and Calhoun, is we don't have staff there full-time or even part-time. In Calhoun, we do have staff there 2 days a week for the Hurricane Housing Recovery Program, but SHIP is handled completely remotely until, walkthroughs or inspections are needed. But Donald, if you want to go ahead and chime in and give your perspective on this, I'd appreciate it.
Sure. Yeah. Good morning, Commissioners. Donald Morgan with Arpc, Housing Program Manager. To your question, we currently do, and we're proposing to offer it remotely. The way we build rapport with our residents, we are available by email and by phone, also by conference if that is needed. We do go to the counties individually at closing times and to do walkthroughs with the contractors. Each applicant, once they are awarded assistance, they are, we call it a pre-bid conference as well as a closing conference. So we're there in person, they're signing their paperwork, they are aware of what essentially what they're getting into, what's being proposed in their scope of work. Their homes are being properly inspected to, for flood zone restraints, constraints, things of that nature. So we try to build, although it is remotely, we still try to establish that relationship by phone, over email, and as requested, we can come to the county on an as-need basis. And that has worked in the other counties that we've worked in so far. Haven't had any really incidents there, so it's working well. Especially at mid-COVID, we were really able to jump over that hurdle and still administer the program in a way that everyone was comfortable, both the staff, county, and the residents.
Okay.
I got a quick.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Donald,
Yes, sir.
what you gonna do about folks like me, my age? In this era, which I represent,
Mm-hmm.
most of your SHIP people that work on SHIP, they old like me,
Yes, sir.
and they just like me, computer illiterate.
Yes, sir. I understand that.
So
Sure.
These people need hands on hands.
Yes, sure. I understand. Yeah, and as planners, I could tell you one of the emphasis Amber and I make, we're very adamant and passionate about accommodating all persons with various needs. We, again, we will make visits as needed. We mail out applications. I've sat on the phone hours on end, completing the applications with the residents, especially when it's communicated that there are, any types of reservations or any types of limitations. We make sure that, everyone is given a level playing ground and that they can apply as needed. So we definitely have a heart and a passion for assisting persons with any type of special needs.
Yeah, and a lot of them can't fill out the application too.
Right, and we do offer that. We will go step by step, line by line. And we also, in some counties, and it's up to the discretion of the board, we have a liaison there in the county that will kind of help to partner with more of the local in-person things. If that's a need of if that's a preference of the county, it can also be done in that way, to have a liaison for a certain percentage, and then, of course, the staff doing the main administration. So we've done it a couple of different ways.
So you'll do essentially a home visit, and then you've also got an ambassador locally here that can facilitate that.
Right. So the inspector is actually the one who does the visit, and then we'll come through the walkthrough to administer that program with all the contractors. And then at closing is when we would really get to know the applicant as far as them signing, because notary services are required with most of the documents. So we have to lay eyes on them. We have to make certain we see their identification. There's certainly a vetting process to make certain that, they are who they say they are.
Yeah, and that's that intake process where you need to hold their hand.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Computer literacy issues, writing issues, speech expression issues, all those kinds of things are very important.
Right. Mm-hmm.
The computer just doesn't cut it,
Right.
It's that face-to-face, one-on-one contact with somebody at a desk with an ink and pencil. Very important, I feel, for these folks.
Right.
And see them old folks, they don't like to get up that Social Security card.
So it's actually not best practice to accept no SHIP program or any housing program should be accepting a Social Security card. What we do in most counties is issue a form that they sign that if we do need to collect something Social Security related, that we have that authorization, and there's a process that they would go through to get it to us or get it to that entity, but we don't collect any Social Security cards. And then if all applications that are submitted electronically, as you know, would become a public record, so we exchange that through secure links. So it's not just on plain out email. So there are definitely methods and measures in place to ensure all security, confidentiality. As far as the files that we keep, they're stored in confidence. So all of those measures would certainly be available to the county.
Any more questions, commissioners? I did see, Mr. Morgan, in the presentation, some of what you were referring to earlier, with the way the administration would potentially be done, with allowing only 8% to be used for actual administration and the 2%.
Right.
If you're having to have a local liaison or somebody, that's more in the community.
Right, exactly, to accept applications, to assist persons with filling out applications, things of that nature, so they can see that one-on-one, yeah.
Right. Any other questions, Commissioner?
Do we need to specifically address this concern of the need for one-on-one intake application process in this contract? Or a contract that we may determine?
This is just a proposal.
Yeah, this is the proposal, right.
Yeah, I realize that.
Yes, so let me, if I could add to that, this is just proposals. After you select today, then we get into the discussion about contracts and specifics.
Yeah.
There's some other issues that we will want to bring up during the contracts.
Mr. Chairman, I got one comment, I guess I'd say. I too express concern about having someone on hand, because if the people can't talk to somebody directly, they're going to come to county staff. County staff's going to tell them, well, we're not administering the program. We've selected somebody else to administer it on behalf of the county. And how all that works is fine, but as Commissioner Bolt, Commissioner Lockley concurred, we do need, some of these people are going to need staff on, to have one-on-one meetings to ensure that they're getting what they need and they meet all eligibility requirements. This is a pretty important issue for the county, because the money is received by the county and then turned over to someone else to administer that. And you have to make sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed.
Certainly.
If not, the egg falls on the county's face. That we're not taking the state money that's been turned over to us in the SHIP program and administering it properly. So it's a big responsibility for whoever gets chosen for this job. And I would expect that whoever it is, whichever entity administers this on behalf of the county, would make sure that everything is followed and protocols and procedures are followed so that we're all working in harmony to not only assist the residents, but to assist the county in administration of this particular grant program.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else? Mr. Morgan, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Mr. Tim Center, Community Action Agency.
Good morning. Tim Center, Capital Area Community Action Agency. I'm a resident of Tallahassee, Florida. And Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, thanks for the opportunity to offer up a proposal to work with you all on administering the SHIP program. The Capital Area Community Action Agency, as we laid out in our proposal, is a social service organization. We serve several hundred people annually in Franklin County already. We have two offices. One is our Head Start Center, which is probably not the appropriate place for folks to go for housing assistance. But our main office on 25 Island Drive is where we are able to handle all sorts of requests for assistance, both in utilities or weatherization, which is making homes more energy efficient, and also with our Getting Ahead program. Angela Webster on our team is here. She's one of our 3 staff who are in that office Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. So we definitely have a presence here on a regular basis and provide that opportunity for folks to call us or come and visit with us. We are in a position, we think, to leverage our weatherization funds, which total about $30,000, to be coupled with the funds that you all receive from the Florida Housing Finance Corporation through the SHIP program. And we believe that holistically we can probably do a little bit more than the two programs are doing apart. Our other opportunity is that we'll be working on a regular basis with you all and with county staff to give you updates as to how that situation and how our opportunities are working with all of your residents. And we've been in touch with Lori Schweitzer, who's been running the program for the last several years. She's offered up her assistance as well to help maintain a good transfer to go forward from there. But the proposal kind of lays out what we're hoping to offer to you and the presence that we're going to be able to do in the community. You all have shown confidence in us in the past regarding disaster recovery from the East Point wildfire. We've been administering some funds most recently with the disaster recovery after Hurricane Michael, and we'll continue to do those services for the duration. So be glad to answer any questions for you all.
Any questions, Commissioner?
Ms. Webb, who'll be handling it? Who'll be working the program?
So Angela Webster's the main office manager and kind of also does services as it relates to self-sufficiency work through our Getting Ahead program. Intake will also be handled by Jennifer Brown. And then we have Rose Griffin, who's been helping with our disaster recovery. We're hoping, which our funds for disaster recovery will expire at the end of September. So we're hoping to keep Rose on in a full-time capacity to work on the SHIP project. So we've got 3 staff who will be available to work on this project. And we already do financial eligibility work with our LIHEAP program, so we're very familiar with that. We're very familiar with protecting personal information, including Social Security cards, and all of that. So I think we're in a good spot to be able to administer the program.
Now, Commissioners, I'm not, if you notice, I did not put a request for a motion or decision today. With the information you now have, I didn't know if you want an opportunity to sit down and think about it, even reach out to the 2 agencies yourselves, and then if you'd like, I could put that on my report for the next agenda for a motion to be made at some point. It's up to the board. I was just giving you guys some options to deal with this and think about it and see what you want to do.
I'm gonna make a motion to get the community, the people know, they been working here. They known him. They already working in Franklin County. And most of them people who gonna be on the program, they know them. It's a win-win situation. I mean, they already is. I make a motion to get.
So we have a motion to approve I guess, the discussion to do a contract with Community Capital.
Basically, to negotiate with Community Action,
Yeah.
try and get a contract.
Mhm.
I
By
think
Commissioner Lockley.
that's what Commissioner Lockley's motion.
Yep.
That's it.
So do we have a second?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to just, I know we were just doing presentations today. I wasn't prepared to make a motion because
Right.
I know the presentations were very thorough and good, but I would like to speak with each individually, know that they've given their presentations and questions have been asked, and make a more informed decision. That's just my personal opinion.
And I would reinforce that myself. I just needed to think about this a little more.
I also would like to examine the presentations a little closer and maybe call the individuals with some additional questions and address it at the next board meeting.
So procedurally, since I cannot make a second, it dies for lack of a second, the motion does. So I'm under the understanding, Mr. Morone, that we will be having this on the next meeting to,
Make a decision.
yes.
All right.
Is that what the rest of the board is understanding?
I just would like a little bit more information. Like I said, I was waiting for today's presentations and questions to be asked, and I didn't want to ask double questions to the individuals. So I would like to reach out to the individuals and again, ask additional questions and make a more informed decision at the next meeting.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
All right, Chris, Tim, Mr. Morgan, thank you guys so much for your
Thank you.
time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And
Thank you.
I will, for sure, I will make sure I pass on your contact information to the commissioners, so you could look out for a call from the commissioners
Okay.
from Q&A sessions with them, okay? Any questions you guys may have, please don't hesitate to contact me. All right, okay.
Mr. Romer, do we need to take a break to set up for P and Z, or?
It probably just need to take a break, yes.
Okay. 5-minute recess.
good to go.
Franklin County Board of County Commissioners now back in session. Up next, our Planning Zone Adjustment Board report. Ms. Courtney Bankston, please proceed.
Good morning. So first I have one variance request. This was for the consideration for a single family residence to be 15 feet into the front 25-foot setback to stay out of the 50-foot wetland setback for 1931 Indian Harbor Road in St. George Island. Garland Environmental is who presented this to the board, and P&Z recommended approval.
Read that again, please. What's the setback that you're asking for?
It's 15 feet into the 25-foot setback, front setback.
Okay. I was reading it wrong, sorry.
And with that, they stay completely out of the wetland setback.
Right.
By moving it forward.
By moving forward, okay. Any questions?
Yes.
Yes.
I guess Mr. Garlett's here representing them.
Dan Garlett. Yes.
Yes, I am. My question is there a limitation as to how big the proposed residence can be when you're asking for this setback? I understand we're trying to stay out of the 50-foot critical habitat, so we want to encroach, but is there not a limitation on the square footage of the dwelling based on that? Because there's nothing stated here in the variance.
If he does encroach into the 50-foot setback, he would have to be maxed out at 1,000 square feet heating footprint.
Okay, and it in the variance request here, it doesn't tell us what they're planning to build. Is that correct, Dan? I mean, is that what she's?
Yeah, the building's there. It's going to be 1,600 square feet, and that's basically the limitation. If the way it's set up, and Michael might be able to explain this more, but if we encroach into the 50-foot setback, then we are limited to a maximum of 1,000 square foot for heated and cooled space. When you're going the other direction, which is towards the road, then the limitation doesn't apply. What is the limitation, though, is the absorption area that a wastewater system could allow. And that's where you go to Department of Health. That's how that works out. So that, as far as limitation goes, it's based on the absorption area that is allowed by the wastewater system for that area that you got left. We got plenty for the wastewater system, but it's the way that the wetlands occur on the site that's created a problem for us as far as the 50-foot setback goes. So that's why we went towards the road. This was actually approved last year in February. The owner just ran out of time. It's, as you know, materials are an issue, and he's trying to put all this together. Yeah, he came, I think, to Courtney and indicated, I've run out of time. I think he got a letter is what it was. And so he said, what do I do now? And I said, re-up. So that's why we're here again today. This is one that you did look at before. This is on a private drive, which is in the HOA. Of course, it's in the plantation. They actually also granted that same approval, same setback last year, and we did that prior to coming to the commission, since we felt that was the most important local approval area. But back to your question, that's basically what the limitation would be, is that instead of going into the 50-foot setback, we would have a limitation of a maximum 1,000 square feet. We've chose to go towards the road and preserve the 50-foot setback and utilize the area that's closer to the road. And again, this is on the end of a cul-de-sac, and so it's not an issue with driving for people, for access and stuff like that. So it seemed like an appropriate thing to do. And like I said, last year it was approved. We're just back again, back to the trough, so to speak.
Mr. Chairman, what Mr. Garlick has stated is correct, and what Courtney has stated is correct. The board's policy on limiting the square footprint is only applicable if there's an encroachment into the 50-foot critical habitat zone. They would then, even with that 1,000 square foot footprint, if they were going into the critical habitat zone, they can still have more than 1,000 square feet by going up to whatever the board's height limit is, which in this case is, was it 47.5 feet, I think, by the time you allow for the freeboard underneath the premises.
All right. Any more questions or concerns or pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, Courtney, you said that P and Z approved this.
Correct.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion by Commissioner Ward to approve,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous. Please proceed, Courtney. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Secretary.
you.
Thank you, Dan.
Next, I have two critical shoreline applications. The first one is on 143 Rio Vista Drive. It's the construction of a 1324 square foot single-family dock with a 5-foot by 80-foot access dock, a 10-foot by 42-foot covered terminal platform, and a 12 by 24 boat ramp. This is Robert Miller. State and federal permits have been received, so the board did recommend approval.
So
Questions,
moved.
Commissioners? Is that a motion,
Approval.
sir? Commissioner Bolt, was that a motion?
So moved to approval.
Okay, motion to approve by Commissioner Bolt. Excuse me, sir, I started talking when you did, and I
No problem.
wasn't trying to override you.
I'll second.
All right, we have a second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion, Commissioners? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Uh,
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Okay, thank you. The next one is 315 Gander Street. They're wanting to build a 12 by 12 boat lift, and I think this one is just for the boat lift. The riprap where it's going to be put encroaches into the 50-foot critical shoreline setback, so he's going to have to come back for a variance for the riprap. So the board did approve the boat lift on an existing dock and told him to submit for the variance for the riprap.
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman,
Yes.
go ahead. Did you have-
Well, I was going to say, Courtney, Ms. Bankston, so what you're saying is the request that we would be considering approving today is to construct a single-family 12 by 12 boat lift.
Correct.
And
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Courtney, isn't there also a boat ramp that was included as part of that for the boat lift?
Yes.
Okay, so Commissioners, just to clarify, the request is for the boat ramp, the boat lift, but to exclude the riprap, there was just an issue that came up with the form of the paperwork in the file. The riprap would actually have to be part of an application for the Board of Adjustment to consider granting a variance. So the board's consideration today is just for the boat ramp and the 12 by 12 lift, and to exclude the riprap, because that would be the subject of a further application.
Okay.
Mr. That clarified my concern. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, I thought so.
Ms.
Thought I saw where you were going.
Ms. Bankston, there's still not an issue with this. It's in the canal, correct?
Yes, a man-made canal.
Man-made canal.
Yes.
So there's still not an issue with the length of them adding on to the end of this, is there?
No.
Okay, thank you. All right, pleasure of the board.
So moved to approve.
All right, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That's 5-0.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So next we have 219 West Courty Drive. This is a commercial site plan application for a 15 by 50 storage building at 219 West Courty Drive in St. George Island. The request was submitted by Calvin Dunn. He had a variance to be able to build on this property in August of 2021. The board did approve for this to go through. He had to come back because he didn't have sufficient parking. Now he's meeting his parking requirements for his storage building, so they did recommend approval.
Any questions, commissioners, or
So moved to approve.
we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bolt. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask Courtney a question about the next item?
Yep.
Hey, Ms. Courtney, this is Michael Schuler.
Yes.
The next items on 18A, B, C, D, and E, those are just all requests for a public hearing, correct?
Yes.
Commissioners, I believe that you could approve all of those requests for a public hearing under one motion, but Courtney, you may, for the board's notification of the public, at least say what the public hearings are going to be about for each one of the items.
Okay. So the first one is for Kit Mashburn. He's requesting to rezone a 5.75 acre of land at 256 Hashcott Road in Apalachicola from R3 to R2, which matches the zoning that's in the area. The second one is Joseph Gander. He's also requesting a change of a 5+ or give or take acre parcel of land from R3 to R2 as well. It's also that same area. It's actually right beside Kit Mashburn's property. Next, we have Franklin County TDC building. The reason why it's coming back to you guys is because I did do a rezoning change, but I forgot to mention the land use. So I'm bringing it back to mention the land use change also for 959 US Highway 98, which is the TDC building from R1 and R4 to Z1. Then we have Island View Park for Franklin County as well, which is a three acre parcel going from C3 commercial to P2 recreational district. Then we have the Franklin Boulevard in St. George Island going from C2 commercial business to Z1 public facilities. And the board did recommend approval for public hearing for every single one of these.
So moved.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Parrish,
Second.
second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Sounds like we have several public hearings.
Yes. The only other thing I wanted to mention is that we did mention Marzetta Davis. She was recognized by the chairman at the meeting, and she did an amazing job. She went ahead and just jumped right in feet first and and was seconding and making motions. So I was very happy that she's there.
Thank you.
And the last thing is, I know you guys have been wondering about the violations system that we've been working on. We're working out the final kinks with the company and importing the data, and so that will be ready to present to you guys at the next board meeting.
Okay.
You're working with what entity now to help you?
Michael, what's the company called?
Oh, Intact. Intact is a company, commissioners, that that used to do our former permit program. So basically, they're doing the project, that project software where you can go and see an update of all the projects. Like Island View would probably have a big heart if Erin had her way on it today. And then Courtney has like 3 different apps. She's working with them. One for the code enforcement for code violations, give a history where we are, an investigation, a map that you can click on that you'll be able to see any zoning applications that's in front of the board, where we are with those. Help me, Courtney, I'm missing one. There's 3.
The dock.
Oh,
critical shoreline applications.
Yeah, we'll start doing it. We'll have a separate process for docks and critical shorelines. Okay?
Good, great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Courtney.
Anyone have any questions or concerns for Ms. Bankston before we proceed?
Is she going to address item 14?
The stuff that's on the report, there's a 14 and 15 in what we're looking at. Is that something we're gonna address today?
No,
Okay.
that was just me talking to the board, getting their take on things.
Oh, for the planning and zone adjustment board?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to clarify, what I basically do, Courtney and I set up a system now. So basically what you guys are gonna see is the actual planning and zoning agenda with all the attachments as they saw it, and then she has the minutes below it to show you how they voted. So you guys got, it's better her trying to recreate something rather than you just get exactly what they got, basically. So there will be items that she discusses with the planning and zoning board that it does not come to this board for approval.
Yeah, no, that's good.
We're good? Trying to be more efficient, Commissioners. More informative, too.
Sounds good. Thank you, Ms. Banks.
No problem.
All right, up next, Ms. Erin Griffin, Fiscal Manager Grants Coordinator.
Erin, click the orange mic.
Okay.
As Erin presents her report, Mr. Chairman, remember you have a couple, a speaker card that before you want to address, I would say, once the item is read, you can call that gentleman up forward, let him have his comments, and then we proceed with board and or staff discussion on that item.
Thank you for the reminder. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Please proceed, Ms. Griffin.
Michael, do you want to get Alan as well, because I know he was involved in this?
I will.
Okay. Okay, Commissioners, the first item is item A, and at the, in regards to the Alligator Point Beach Restoration Project Scope and Coastal Consulting Agreement. At the August 24th, 2021 meeting, the board approved a $200,000 grant agreement with the Florida Department of Environmental Protection's Beach Management Division for the design and permitting phase of the Alligator Point Beach Nourishment Project. As stated during the August 2021 meeting, the board is not obligated at this time to proceed with construction, only completion of the scope approved by FDEP once a contract is awarded. As part of the May 18, 2021 discussion on the Restore program, it was mentioned that the DEP grant application was pursued with MRD Associates as the lead in hopes of providing a design and cost estimate should the county wish to proceed with the construction of an artificial beach structure along the washout area of Alligator Drive. A rough construction cost estimate of $10 million was mentioned at that time, with conceptual funding sources of $5 million from FDEP and $5 million from the Restore program. MRD Associates has submitted an agreement for coastal consulting services which will be fully funded by the FDEP grant and will include conducting surveys, preparing a design, obtaining regulatory permits, and the establishment of a municipal services taxing unit, MSTU, to fund future beach nourishment projects. Board action to approve and authorize the chairman to sign the attached agreement for coastal consulting services for MRD Associates Incorporated.
Okay.
So move.
Hold on just a second, please, Commissioner. Mr. Berry, you stated you want to be able to comment on this item.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Please come forward, state your name for the record. You have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. John Berry, 1389 Alligator Drive. My comments are as such, and I appreciate it. Thank you, Aaron, for the opening introduction. Is this beach restoration project that you're referring to for the consultant agreement, previously known as the Beach Renourishment Project? Second is this restoration project mandated by FEMA for the protection of the new Alligator Drive road section? Third, is this project 1.3 miles or 1,300 feet? 4, does the use of federal funds change the private beach designation for 2 of the units, platted units on Alligator Point by the use of federal funds? So does FEMA funds, once they're used, change the designation of the beach from private to public above the mean high tide line? And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Berry.
Mr. Chairman, do you want to answer some of those questions?
That's fine.
Mr. Berry, if you say there, because I didn't write them all down, so let's just go through them one by one. What was your first question?
Is this project previously known as the Beach Renourishment
Yes, I would
Project?
say it is, yeah. And the second one, I'll jump to, is 1.3 miles, not 1,300 feet. So it's approximately 1.3 miles, or 1.1, I think, but it's in that general.
Is it mandated by FEMA?
It is not mandated by
It is not mandated by
No,
FEMA.
no. I'll clarify, I'll expand on that answer. It's not mandated by FEMA, but it's a statement by myself and a belief that it would be beneficial to maintain the road to add this additional protection. But it's not maintained by FEMA. In fact, FEMA wouldn't even pay for it because it wasn't there before the storm arrived.
Well, okay. So this is a county recommendation, if I understand this
Yes,
correctly.
and
Mr.
MRD, yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
And within this is the property that the county bought for the public beach or beach parking and the additional lots that are some submerged. And those lots have been taken off the tax rolls. So therefore, any type of MSBU type of assessment, which the people of Alligator Point have already said they did not want, okay? And the county continues to want to push this on Alligator Point. If you're talking about something that's needed for the 1,300 feet, I can understand that. If you're talking about 1.3 miles, I don't understand it.
Let me clarify. So the difference the difference of the revetment is 1,300 feet. But and I've got to get Mike Gabrowski online and have him make the presentation. You don't do beach renourishments of 1,300 feet because the sand moves around. So you need a buffer, and the description and the recommendation buffer is basically 1.1 miles, so that you're guaranteed to keep sand in the area that you need to protect the road. It seems a little excessive, I understand, but that is the logic that you don't do short dimensions of beach renourishment.
And actually, in his scope of work, it actually specifies an erosion control line will be established along approximately 1.5 miles or 7,920 feet of project shoreline between the Florida Department of Environmental Protection monuments R209 and R217.
Which is from Chip Morrison Drive, if I'm not mistaken, all the way 1.5 miles the other direction.
Right.
Why burden everybody at Alligator Point with an MSBU, because that's the only way you're gonna get it funded? Why burden them with that problem when you got a road there? You know, there was the old saying, commissioners, caveat emptor, right? Buyer beware when you bought your property, okay? Is it everybody else's responsibility on Alligator Point to protect the individual's property?
No, it's not. But here's the better question. Is it everybody else's problem in the county to make sure there's a road maintained there that are not using it?
And
We've spent over $30 million in the last 20 years or so to try to get to a spot of making sure all the residents that live on Alligator Point have a passable, usable, good road. And it's taken, I've been on the board since 2016. We've been trying to get to the point we are now where we about finally have a good road back. In conversations with FEMA. They're the ones that, it was all storm damage. And trying to get that built back. By building some kind of beach or some kind of engineered beach there, you can call it whatever you want to call it, but by having something there in future storms, that's something that FEMA can help pay for because we can prove it was there. And it will help protect the road. I'd much rather be trying to put back some beach and deal with that issue than I would not having a road that residents can use at Alligator Point.
And
That's I mean, you referenced us trying to push it on people. No, we're trying to make sure you have a road.
in all due respects,
Yeah.
that road, it's not mandated to be protected because it's built to FEMA standards and they will replace it if it's wiped out. There is a bypass road of which they went back into the old KOA property and brought away from the coastal line and we appreciate having that ability to go around, because I've been out there 22 years and I know what it's like to try to get out of that place once it's been hit, and it's been hit several times. But bottom line, you've done everything that's necessary, but now I feel like personally we are being led down a garden path with regards to the size of this renourishment project.
And that's something we're probably not gonna hash out here in the next
Right,
5 minutes.
I agree.
Let me make one additional qualification on it. So one reason that the 1.5 miles is the dimension, and I'll go with what Aaron just read, is because we do have 1,300 feet of revetment that is right there that the waves are
Yes, sir.
crash on. But if you look to the east, there's at least another 1,000 feet, if not more than that, that is exposed to damage that I think we can avoid if we have a beach in front of it. And those individual property owners with wooden seawalls, that my fear, and I'll be honest, it's my statement to the public, is that they will fail and therefore have another section of road wash out. I'm trying to keep that road from washing out in other places.
I understand.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Okay, so now we've had public comment from Mr. Berry that submitted it before the meeting. Now
So
back
moved.
to the commission.
For the board of action to authorize the chairman to sign an agreement for MRD Associates to provide coastal consulting services for the,
Okay, so a motion to approve by Commissioner Bolt,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just a comment for the board. The presentation appears to me to lock the board potentially into just looking at the MSTU option. I think, and I would recommend that the board modify the motion in the second to include looking at both the MSTU and the MSBU options, because as I understand, and although we don't have a lot of MSTUs in the county, as in none, it is my understanding that the MSTU would go towards your ad valorem 10 mil cap. And I want to let's look at both options, and the board can make a decision between the two at a future date when I've had more of a chance to flesh out what the legal options and ramifications are and discuss it with your fiscal manager as well.
Okay.
I will
that's-
modify my
I'll
motion.
say, if I can, Mike Daniels will be using GSG. I mean, he's not doing it himself, so neighbors give him GSG or his subs on that very issue, and so they're.
That was my follow-on question. We used GSG back in 2008 to do the study, so as long as both options are fleshed out and presented to the board and the board makes an informed decision, that's all I want to preserve. That's it.
Okay, so do we need to amend the motions to reflect that language?
Yes, sir. If
Okay.
you-
I so amend my motion.
Okay, amend the motion, you
I'll
amend
amend
your
my
second?
And we will then contact Mr. Dombrowski and make
Yeah,
sure that's
we'll get
okay
an
with him.
amended agreement with that change in scope.
All right, so the motion and the second have been amended. Any more discussion on this item before we vote?
I'll just say again, this is a design thing. The board is not obligated to move forward if the cost is so objectionable to everybody, but we might as well know what the cost is.
Yep.
That's where we're headed.
All right,
And it is fully funded by the EP grant, so that's something.
I do want to ask a question. Is that a grant something we still have yet to apply for?
No, you've been
No,
awarded it. You
no,
were awarded actually
Already
last
been awarded,
August.
and we've already signed the grant agreement.
Okay.
so.
Okay. Yeah, and then we have to have restore, so we're getting money from Treasury. Yeah, that's.
That would be the construction.
Yeah,
Right,
that's
we'll
moving
worry about
fast.
that, and,
Okay.
once we agree we're gonna move forward with the project, then we go to.
Okay.
It-
Mr.
it
Chairman,
may not- It may never move forward beyond this design phase.
All right. Yes, sir.
this started years ago, and I agreed to, with my vote, help out with Restore Fund, based on an MSBU or MSTU being established, because if you spend $10 million to do beach renourishment and it gets washed out, FEMA's only gonna reimburse 50% of that. So if it's a $10 million beach, the county's obligated to put $5 million back, or that beach does not get rebuilt. And that's the whole point of, you gotta have an MSB or MSTU from the citizens down there to pay, to garner the money, to put the money back, so that whenever, and it's gonna wash out just as the road continuously washes out. Will it provide protection? Absolutely. But it will eventually erode, and it's gonna have to be put back. And without any money to pay our 50% to match with FEMA to put the beach back, I'm not in favor of spending $5 million of restore money to build a beach. Because it's gonna wash out. It's just a matter of time. Will it be 10 years? Will it be 5 years? Will it be next year? I don't have a clue. But I just wanna make that statement, and I've always said this is nothing new, that without an MSBU assessment on the people there, or MSTU assessment, I'm not in favor of wasting $5 million of restore money to put a beach there for one time. I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
Well, Well, let me just add to that, Commissioner Parrish. So, I mean, I hate to say this, in the good scenario, a hurricane comes and washes out the beach. In a normal scenario, there isn't any federal funding, and there's still an erosion rate out there. And so the maintenance costs the maintenance funds will be utilized periodically with or without a hurricane, because there is an erosion rate that goes on all the time.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
And so I also want to remember, Alan, your presentation from about a year or so ago, where you thought about a future plan to actually reroute that road more north and around.
And we were stymied in that, yes, because the acquisition of the land was not clearly eligible to have a road put on it by FEMA funds, so we were stuck.
Yeah, but.
All right, any more discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Thank you very much for that.
Ms. Griffin, please proceed.
Okay, next item is the Restore Countywide Dune Restoration Project Report and Scope. MRD Associates has completed the countywide dune restoration study for the Restore program. The study included analysis of approximately 16 miles of shoreline, including the public beach areas of St. George Island, Carabel Beach, Alligator Point, and Bald Point. After review of the restoration study and estimated construction costs, county staff recommend pursuing template dune and coastal hammock restoration and protection at the 2 county beach park locations, St. George Island's Lighthouse Park and Carabel Beach Park, and the implementation of a countywide dune vegetation project. A varied vegetation footprint of between 6 and 7.5 feet could be installed along the toe of the dune areas along 11 miles of public beaches. The 4 project segments shown in Figure 27, page 34 of the attached report, consists of 4 miles of St. George Island, 0.8 miles of Carabel Beach, 5 miles of Alligator Point, and 1.2 miles of Bald Point. Native coastal vegetation will be placed on 18-inch centers and staggered rows for a natural look. Approximately 171,500 plants would be needed for the countywide effort, and an estimated installed cost per plant of $1.25. Franklin County would obtain written consent from interested private property owners for the plants to be installed along the dune line. As cited in the study, native dune vegetation provides significant benefits to beaches, dunes, uplands, and wildlife. Salt-tolerant dune plants build protective dunes by trapping and stabilizing wind-blown beach sand, reduce erosion losses by wind and storms, provide a buffer against storm surges and salt spray, provide shelter for wildlife, and block light pollution for nesting and hatchling sea turtles. Board action to accept and approve the attached countywide dune restoration study as prepared by MRD Associates Incorporated is action item number 1, and then I have a separate action item for board action to accept the scope recommendation above, moving forward for the development of a Restore construction grant application for the countywide dune restoration project.
Okay, we have a public comment for this, Mr. Berry. Please come forward, state your name for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
John Berry, 1389 Alligator Drive, Alligator Point. I only have one question. In the first part of the presentation, I heard St. George Island, and I heard another location. I did not hear Alligator Point. In the latter part of your presentation, it did say Alligator Point. My question is Alligator Point fully invested in the dune restoration project? This was a question that I put to Alan 3 years ago or 4 years ago when we started off on this, to make sure that Alligator Point was included.
Yes, I will say there are sections, Mr. Berry, near the erosion out where there isn't a dune system to put the CO. So there are going to be sections of Alligator Point which are not eligible, but the overall Alligator Point, yes, yes. If there's a sufficient dune system there, then yes, those people will be eligible to receive plants and help stabilize those dunes.
And that's actually installed.
Okay, so we understand then that where the hurricane fences or sand fences have been placed, and we have buildup of sand, and they have beach grass on them now and the vines, that they will be supported. They will be part of this program.
Yeah, they could be, yeah. The property owner will have to make that decision, because we're not going to enforce you to put COs out there. If you feel what's already growing you're happy with, then that's your choice. But yes, you would be eligible to get more COs to enhance that.
Okay, we've already done that. The reason I bring it up is we went to the expense of putting in these hurricane sand fences 3 or 4 years ago, and they're maintained all by individuals out there. And I want to make sure that we do get to reap some of the reward for that program.
We're actually reaping a better reward because of your initiative, because you have more sand now than you would have had
Yes,
otherwise.
we do.
It's amazing how well those sand fences work. But yes, in fact, we had discussed having sand fencing as part of this project. But as you have just said, sand fencing only works if you continue to maintain it and pull it up. And we were afraid the average citizen wouldn't do that. It would get buried and not be as effective as sea oats, which will grow as the sand migrates. So that's why we chose the vegetation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir.
And it does include 5 miles of Alligator Point and 1.2 miles of Ball Point.
Yep.
Let me just say, so to summarize, basically we did a design where the 2 county-owned parks will have a complete dune system put in there, which is sand and fence, sand and vegetation. Perhaps, I think there's even a walkway scoped out. So we're going to try and guide people to stay off the dunes, maybe some narrative about the value of sea dunes on Carabel Beach and Alligator and St. George Island, because we own those properties. And then the remaining areas of the study will have COs available to residents who sign a waiver accepting that people can go on their property. A contractor, it won't be county employees, go on there and install the COs. It'll be a temporary access easement.
And it will be paid by the county's restore fund, so that will not be at any cost to the homeowners.
Okay.
Good, good.
All right, so pleasure of the board. I guess the first one is to accept and approve the countywide dune restoration study as prepared by MRD Associates.
So moved.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Parrish,
Second with comment.
second by Commissioner Bolt. Please proceed, sir.
Just want to point out that this is a role in which Franklin County Commission is including the entire area of Franklin County. That includes, we're recognizing Alligator Point and Ball Point in this project.
Any more discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous. And the next would, Aaron, you had board action to accept scope recommendation of moving forward for the development of a restore construction grant for the countywide dune restoration project, correct?
So move.
All right, motion to approve by Commissioner Bolt,
Second.
second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion, commissioners? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous. Please proceed.
Okay, next item C is the Armory Sprinkler System Project. At the last meeting, the board reviewed value engineered scope changes for the Fort Coombs Armory Sprinkler System Project, discussed reduced bid amounts from Cook Brothers Incorporated, and requested an additional $271,338 in funding for the project from the Tourist Development Council. The Tourist Development Council approved the additional funds needed for grant match at their meeting this past week, and the county can now proceed with getting this project under construction. I actually have 2 motions here as well. Board action to accept and authorize the chairman to sign the attached notice of award to Cook Brothers Incorporated at the reduced contract price of $687,000. And then the second would be board action to accept and authorize the chairman to sign the attached proposal for CEI services for Gilchrist Ross Crowe Architects in the amount of $25,338.
Okay.
Again, 2 separate motions. I'll make a motion to accept the, and authorize the chairman to sign the attached notice of award to Cook Brothers at the reduced contract price of $687,000.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Parrish and Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion, commissioners? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
And then I'll also make another motion to accept and authorize the chairman to sign the attached proposal for CEI services for Gilchrist Ross Crowe Architects in the amount of $25,338.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, before Aaron moves on, so basically, on my end, once these are signed, the contractor, everybody gets the paperwork, I'll be pushing for a timeline, because
Yeah.
I have people chomping at the bits to rent, believe it or not, rent the Armory next year, and I cannot answer those questions until I get some kind of timeline. So just so the board knows, if anybody comes to you guys about the Armory, that's the procedure. We're going to request a timeline, average that out, and then we could start talking about actually rentals in the
And
future.
TDC is actually gonna be managing the
Yes.
rentals of the armory at some point.
You're right, Aaron. So then we discussed with TDC about transferring the managing of the, of the armory, and then they can talk to these people about rentals for, what year are we in, 2022? 2023, so yeah. I got a little lost
That'd be
sometimes,
fun.
Commission. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Please proceed, Ms. Griffin.
Okay, next item D, District 5 paving funds. Commissioner Ward has received an estimate of $4,816 for the paving and marking of the Carabel Library parking area located at Northwest 2nd Street. The city of Carabel is doing some paving improvements at this time, and the parking area is outside the scope of work allowed by the city's CRA. Commissioner Ward would like to reimburse the city up to the estimated $4,816 for the library's parking area from her balance of paving funds. Board action to approve the reimbursement from District 5's paving funds for the Carabel Library parking area along 2nd Street.
So move.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second with comment.
second by Commissioner Bolt. Please proceed, sir.
This is just a good example of two entities working together, county and city. Good deal.
Any more discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's a 5-0 vote.
Thanks. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Next item E, recommendation to award Cdbg grant administration services. On Thursday, May 12th, responses were publicly open for the request for proposals for the grant administration services for the Cdbg program. After advertisement of the request for proposals in the Apalachicola Times, the Panama City News Herald, a metropolitan newspaper with daily circulation, posted to Demand Star, posted to the county website, and circulated to vendors via the Office of Supplier Diversity, there was only one response received from Summit Professional Services Incorporated. Franklin County acknowledges that by receiving only one proposal, Summit be classified as a sole source provider. The proposal was reviewed and recommended for acceptance by the Evaluation Committee, members Mark Currington, Michael Marone, and myself. The proposal and ranking sheets are attached to this report for reference. Board action to issue a notice of intent to award to Summit Professional Services Incorporated for grant administration services subject to the review and approval of the contract by county attorney and the Department of Economic Opportunity. And just to let you all know, we did reach out to Debbie Belcher, and she did recommend Summit Professional Services, so they do have her full recommendation.
Good reinforce.
So move.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if I
Yes.
might. It says that for the services or for grant administration services. And I think when Ms. Belcher did it, she actually helped us write the grants to be submitted. Is this company gonna be doing the same?
They are, yeah.
So they're
they
not
will-
just administering the grant once we get a grant, they're actually helping us write and try to get the grant and then administering.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, and they actually do not receive payment for any services until grant is actually awarded, so
Okay.
that's all fully grant funded.
Any more discussion? And we do have a motion and a second, correct?
Yes, sir.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous, 4-0. All right, go ahead, Ms. Griffin.
Okay, Commissioners, next item, SGI Fishing Pier Access Road Repair. Bids were open for the SGI Fishing Pier Access Road repairs at your last meeting. This was the second time that the county had bid this FEMA repair project, and due to a few scope changes, the lowest bid fit within the project budget. Dewberry engineers reviewed bids and determined that the bids received were substantially complete with values, quantities, and bid bonds. However, the two lowest bids were missing appendices in the bid submittal. The one complete bid was more than twice the available budget for the project. As it is in the best interest of the county to move the repairs along as soon as possible before the start of hurricane season, and the board always has the right to waive informalities when it is in the best interest of the public to do so, it is recommended that the board waive the informalities and allow for the contractor to submit the missing appendices for this project. Board action to note the missing appendices from bidders Pygott Asphalt and North Florida Construction in the bid transmittals, and to waive informalities to allow for the low bid to be accepted as substantially complete, and to allow for submission of the missing appendices to occur prior to issuance of the notice of award for Pygott Construction.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Ms. Griffith consulted with me about this matter before presentation to the board. I reviewed the documents that were missing. I did some legal research, and essentially I'm recommending that the board waive the informalities and accept the low bid and allow the documents to be presented, because The documents that were missing had no impact on the price of the project, the quantity of the materials, the quality of the materials, or the timing of their presentation and incorporation into the project. So I do believe the missing paperwork is, could be called boilerplate. It has nothing to do with the substance of the bids and the project. And so I have recommended to her to make this presentation to the board today, and I joined in the recommendation that you waive these informalities and accept the low bid from, who was it again?
Pygott Asphalt.
Pygott. There you go. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So moved.
All right, motion to approve by Commissioner Parrish,
Second.
second by Commissioner Ward. And we're actually waiving the missing appendices for both Pygott and North Florida Construction, correct? All right, any more discussion before we vote?
Mr. Chairman, just a question, I guess, point of order. Do we need two separate motions for each of these?
We do, because first we needed to waive the informalities, and then actually grant permission for us to sign the notice of award once the missing appendices have been received and reviewed by Dewberry Engineers.
Yeah, they still have to submit the documents.
I'll make a motion to,
Hold on, we haven't voted on the other one yet.
oh, sorry.
That's all good. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous. All right, go ahead, Commissioner.
I'll make a motion to approve the chairman's signature on the notice of award once the missing appendices have been received and reviewed by Dewberry.
All right, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous. Please proceed, Ms. Griffin.
Okay, Commissioners, we've already covered item G, which was the FEMA repairs for Island View Park. The next item is item H, which is the SGI boat ramp design grant agreement. As the notification of award was reported in September of 2021, Franklin County has finally received the $80,000 FWC boating improvement grant agreement for the St. George Island Boat Ramp Improvements Design Project. Board action to approve and authorize the chairman to sign the attached grant agreement from FWC and authorize staff to proceed with advertising for qualifications once the signed agreement is received back from FWC.
Pleasure of the board.
So moved.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Parrish,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion? I would like to just say and highlight for the public at large, this is something, a process we started about 2 years ago. And what they're designing is, we would not get an approval to put some kind of breakwater there for the problem you have with east wind at that boat ramp. If the wind's blowing out the east, you might not want to try to launch or take your boat out there. It's very rough. So this potential design is actually going to be a floating seawall that's anchored to the bottom, which doesn't interfere with the bottom. So that's what we're pursuing, to try to help make that ramp as usable as it needs to be in all weather circumstances. Just to make sure the board and the public's aware.
Mm-hmm.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Next item, item I, license plate reader cameras. The board approved the sheriff's request for 10 license plate reader cameras at a cost of $2,500 per year per camera, prorated through September 30th, subject to the availability of funds. The county will pay vendor Flock Safety directly for the prorated cost of the 10 cameras for up to 4 months out of the jail repair and maintenance line item. Up to 4 months could cost $8,333.60. Any additional installation or maintenance costs over the amount originally presented for the 4 months will be the responsibility of the Sheriff's Department. The full annual cost of the cameras will be included in the Sheriff's upcoming budget request. Board action to approve payment of the prorated $2,500 each annual cost share for 10 license plate reader cameras to Flock Safety beginning as early as June 1st from the jail repair and maintenance line item.
So moved.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion, commissioners? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous. All right, is that it?
Well, I do have one late addition that we'll have to
Okay.
call for public comment.
See, I knew that wouldn't be it, but
Okay.
that's okay.
And the late addition is going to be the Division of Emergency Management Preparedness and Community Support EMS response truck for our ambulance service.
Okay, so
I believe we have to call for public comment first, we not? Pretty sure.
Before we-
Kind of read what you're going.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, read.
Okay. EMS Director Richard Lewis has received an offer from the Florida Department of Health, Division of Emergency Preparedness and Community Support to provide funding for an EMS response truck. The $75,316 purchase order will provide for the purchase of a 2022 Ford F-150 XLT 4x4 from the Florida Sheriff's Association contract pricing, the winch, front bumper, lights, sirens, bed cover, equipment trays, multiple radio systems, and vaccine refrigerator. The truck will be used for the community paramedic program with telehealth capability and disaster preparedness and response. Board action to approve the program purchase order for funding, formal scope of work, and proceed with ordering the truck and equipment outlined above.
Okay, so before we do that, we need to have public comment, correct? Since this is an addition to what we're considering here today, is there anyone in the room that wishes to comment on this before we might take any potential action? Anyone at all? Mr. Morone, see if there's anyone via Zoom that would
We
like
have
to
one
comment.
attendee online. If that attendee would like to speak on this matter, please raise your hand. No raised hand, sir.
Okay. I do have a question before we proceed though. Ms. Griffith, is this, there's a lot of things that were listed there that are part of this truck. Is it also a four-wheel drive truck?
It is.
Okay. Well, just after hurricanes and
good
events,
point.
you might have to get
Good
somewhere.
point. Good point.
Let's just check that too. Okay, that's.
Don't they
just a
already
thought.
have one?
They
Just
do.
a second?
Yeah.
Yep, this will be the second,
I have a comment.
the silver one.
Oh, please proceed, sir.
Thank you. This first response truck is going to be unit number 2 for Franklin County. I have seen unit number 1, and it is slick. It's like a mobile first aid station. This fully bedded pickup truck has a drop-down tailgate, and the entire shelving system slides out and stays cantilevered so that you can actually remove supplies and gear and stuff that you need there. So this is now going to be a duplicate of that, and Franklin County is very fortunate to have these 2 units.
All right, pleasure of the board.
So moved.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Lockley, second by Commissioner Parrish. Any discussion, commissioners, before we vote on it? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
And then the next item, I just have a couple of miscellaneous project updates. We did receive acknowledgement from FDOT that the letter of request, which was sent for the SGI Stormwater Project, has been received and is currently moving up the chain of command at the Florida Department of Transportation. And then at your next meeting, bids will be open for the modular scale station building at the landfill.
Okay,
That's it.
that's it. I have a couple of things for you, Ms. Griffith, if you don't mind. I know we're getting close to budget time, and I know we're getting close to sending out the letters, because we've actually approved the wording of those letters. During COVID, one of the entities that is providing a service here in the county is an NGO, is Franklin Foods. And with the way the economy and everything's going right now, they're actually providing more than they've ever provided before. So I would like to see us send them a letter and potentially see about adding them as an NGO in our upcoming budget. That's Franklin Foods out of Carabel. I can get you their contact information. We provided funding for them with COVID relief money the first time, but they've been doing this as like a food pantry or however you want to call it in Carabel and East Point. They're actually connected with Second Harvest, so they do big events as well. And they've been doing it for the last 7 or 8 years that I know of.
May I request that we do that opposite, that they send us a letter explaining all what they've done, how much money they spend?
We have that.
We do? An updated one of what they spend with additional
Yeah,
foods?
we
that
can get it, that's not a problem, but
Yeah,
we're gonna be sending these letters out, so.
yeah, okay. I'll just say, since they weren't part of the budget previously, Commissioner, it'll be good to have that on record. As
Oh,
we
yes,
send that
for
letter
sure,
out.
yeah.
That's, as
Yeah.
much information they can provide to us
Yeah.
will really help us.
Maybe we can do those concurrently.
Yeah.
I don't want us to, just want to do things properly.
Hmm?
And the other thing is, Ms. Griffin, that we can talk about later, I know I talked to you about getting Dewberry to help us with some potential paving in District 1. Just whenever you do get an update, please let me know.
Okay, will do.
That's it for me. Any other questions or concerns from Ms. Griffith? All right, Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Morone, you're up next, sir.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, before I proceed, what I just handed out towards the end of Mrs. Griffith's report, Ms. Debbie Jordan said that she sent in a request to speak a speaker card, but I never received it. I'll have our web people investigate why we didn't receive it, because I received a whole bunch from Alligator Point, you know, about this afternoon's thing. So obviously the system is working. There must have been a glitch somewhere, you know, we'll try and figure out what it is. I just wanted that to be part of the record, what she wanted to discuss, okay? And just hand it in. I handed it over to the clerk, and it'll be part of the board record, okay? All right, commissioners, if you pull out my insert from your packet, at your last meeting, the board authorized a workshop to discuss the requirements and procedures to transfer a private road to county road, owned and maintained, by the county. I recommend scheduling that workshop sometime in second meeting in July or August 2nd. What's the board's preference? The reason I say a little later, commissioners, is because there might be another workshop that I will be considering here coming up shortly. I might have to inform you guys of that. Well, gonna be past that date, Attorney Schuler, what we talked about the other day. That meeting we had about getting that committee together, but I'll discuss that at a later point. And the first meeting in July, you guys will be coming back from conference. Monday's July 4th, which will be a holiday, so I think that's a bad Tuesday to have a workshop. So that's why I said either the second meeting in July or the first one in August. What's the, you could want to look at your calendars and get back to me the next meeting, or something you guys could schedule today?
Mr. Chairman, I'm okay with August the 2nd. I know that isn't July the 19th, don't we deal with the Planning and Zoning Board of Adjustment items?
Yes,
So,
like today, yes.
I would like to make a motion to have it August the 2nd.
Okay.
If everyone else is in agreement.
I wanna check my calendar, I don't know what I got.
We can wait, we can table it then till the
Okay.
next meeting.
I got a lot of doctor appointment I need to look on.
Okay.
Just one comment.
Yes.
I think this is a very creative opportunity to look at private roads here in Franklin County. What are the criteria for private roads versus the county assuming road scheduling and maintenance? And we have a great deal of them, and one of the biggest is the Hammock Grove area in my district, huge, and lots of comments and concerns about that particular road. So I think this will be a very good, interesting workshop. I welcome it.
Please proceed, Mr. Morone.
Okay. Item B, last year the board approved commission awards requests to FDOT for the installation of a crosswalk at Carroll Beach. If the board remembers, I had a little display showing the type of crosswalk with the blinking traffic lights they said that they would do. We're still hoping for that, Commissioner. Last week, we received an FDOT off-system maintenance agreement and resolution for this crosswalk project. As part of the agreement, the county will be required to maintain 372 square feet of the improved sidewalk that is on county property. Copies of the agreement, resolution, and detailed map are attached. Attorney Schuler has reviewed the agreement and the resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve with a comment.
Okay, motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bolt. Commissioner Ward, please proceed.
Just for clarification, it is still the Hawk crosswalk, Hawk, and where they're gonna put it at, and there's a picture on here, I'm gonna share with the public after this meeting, but you cannot walk from grass or sidewalk to grass. So they're having to make the sidewalk where they're gonna put the crosswalk at to ensure that the pedestrian will have basically going from concrete to concrete. And FDOT is the one gonna actually foot the cost for the sidewalk
Yes.
itself. We just have to maintain it in the county.
A small amount, Mark looked at it, he said it's
not very
for what
big
we're
at all.
getting, it's a small amount to
It's
pay
all
for
about
maintenance.
safety of the
You bet.
pedestrians
That makes
crossing
sense
the
what you're
street.
doing. It makes sense, cause you
Well-
slide on that grass ball.
We're in trouble again, Commissioner.
Well, and you do have to, I know at times past, I've looked at trying to add some crosswalks on St. George in different areas, especially going across Gulf Beach Drive. But it was the same discussion they had with me that you bring up. There's like, Commissioner, you can't even though you got a sidewalk on one side, you can't put a crosswalk to put somebody to walk in the middle of the road on the other side. You just can't direct it that way. Now, if you could put a sidewalk down the other side too, where you're going from sidewalk to sidewalk, that's one thing, but he's, you know, that was the advice that I was given anyway. It would be a really bad idea for us to put a crosswalk and they're being directed after they're just gonna be walking in the road, because there's not, you know, the place to walk, so.
And if I remember correctly, I don't know if things have changed because it's been so long that you've been working on this. We were one of the first smaller counties to get that Hawk system. And it's usually used in like St. Petersburg and bigger cities in the state, so we'll see. Oh, I'm sorry, I just need board approval to authorize the chairman's
We've already got a
signature.
motion and a second, don't we?
Yeah.
We do?
Yes.
Oh, my bad. I
We're
got
under
lost.
discussion, sorry.
Again,
That's on me, sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
we're ready to
Great.
address item C, D, which is all my action items. Let's move on to some of my informational items. The TDC collections report is attached. Any questions, do not hesitate to contact Mr. John Solomon about that
Can I
report.
say something?
Yes, sir?
Mr. Chairman, on this TDC thing, it's been a while. We got John them, and they doing a good job, but it's been a while since we voted on them vendors, and it's time to do it. Time to go out for bid for vendors. We have to do that. It's supposed to be done every so often. We done John them part, the administration part. And that part okay, so we done that, but we ain't done the vendor part in a while. I make a motion, we do it.
So you want to make a motion, Commissioner, that we, not the administration, but the other vendors, that we take it out to bid, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, or you want to do a request for qualifications or proposals?
However they do it.
We did the vendor contracts the last time.
It's supposed to be done so often, I remember.
I don't remember whether it was an
RFQ,
RFP or an
RFP, yeah.
RFQ. Sorry.
I don't know how you do it.
So,
Can we just do it and report back to the board what we did the last time and say, Commissioners, based on your motion at the last meeting, this is what we went out for? Is that good enough?
that means, with what we have now, that's how we probably can approach it.
Okay.
But we do have a motion by Commissioner Lockley to go out to bid again on the vendor contracts for the TDC.
And I would second that.
Okay, we have a second by Commissioner Bolt.
Mhm.
Any more discussion, Commissioners, before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous, 5-0.
Okay, I'll go back to that note. I talked about F with Ted. The local technology planning team, I've received a couple of candidates, but I just ask you guys to just really look hard, spend the next couple of weeks looking hard and sending me some names that you,
Mr. Chairman, if I might, Kevin Ward said he would
okay,
be my appointed member.
all right.
Can you give me can I get something so I know what I'm looking?
Yeah, I'd email it to you, a kind of a list of people that they ask you to look at, but I'll get it to you again, Commissioner.
I'll let you know, right? Okay.
Yeah, it's, you know, they say people from, you know, in the K through 12, church leaders, but I'll send you that list of what they recommend, the statute recommends that you look at, okay? All right.
I ain't know.
Oh, no problem, I'll get it to you, sir. That was G. H, inform the board that Mr. Pierce completed and submitted the site readiness survey for Duke Energy. We haven't heard anything else from them since. As soon as they give us an update what the next step is, I will let the board know. That was that out to the airport, that site readiness, yeah.
That's what it was? Yeah.
He did that survey
Good.
for us, thank goodness, that was great.
That was.
And Mr. Carrington attended that historic resource survey that was held in Carabel a few weeks ago, May 4th. So in case you guys need more information on it, you can reach out to Mr. Carrington. I had a small blurb of what he said, a summary of what he said happened. And Commissioners, I think that is the end of my report. Mr. Chairman, if you would bear with me. So I'll remind the board that at 1:30 this afternoon, we have a public workshop. And that's mostly on beach parking. I am going to recommend that, especially when the commission, when you guys start to comment on it, I mean, we can't have two separate workshops within one, but I'd like to separate the way maybe we approach Alligator Point, get everyone who wants to talk about Alligator Point, we do that, and then maybe we talk about St. George Island afterwards. So it kind of keeps the discussion focused, if we may. If the board doesn't mind, I mean, we could take all public comments, you know, at one time, but as the board discusses it and as the sheriff brings their representatives to talk about the traffic issues, could we separate the two discussions? How do you guys feel about that? I just think it's a more efficient way to deal with the situation this afternoon.
I think that's appropriate.
Because I think they're two separate, you're gonna find there's two totally separate issues we're having, you know, on both
Sure,
locations.
Mr.
And
Chairman?
I'm sorry.
I have something too. I have a couple of handouts I'd like to have copied before the workshop this afternoon. These are from Alligator Point contributors relative to setting up the problem and suggested solutions for the problem relative to parking. So they can be handed out to you on your dais before the workshop.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
But I will, I've been asked to do this, and Mr. Chairman, I try and do this as often as possible. This is a public workshop.
Yes.
There's a difference between a public hearing and a public workshop. And I've said before, public workshops are designed for this board to receive information from particular individuals about a particular item. Today being about the parking issues. Last workshop was from the State Fire Marshal's office. So the public gets to comment in the beginning, and then from there, it's you and whoever you're receiving your information from, who's ever on the agenda, and your discussion about the item. It is not a public hearing where the public gets to interact with the board about a particular item. They're two separate things, two separate formats. And so anybody that wants to speak from the public have received a decent amount of speaker cards. That is your opportunity to speak. Once public comments are over and finished, it's then the board and whoever you have in your agenda to receive the information from. Today is just the Sheriff's Department because they're the ones that could tell you, they're the ones on the ground could tell you what's going on. So I just wanted to clear that up, especially for the public, as to the format of what we're doing this afternoon. It's a workshop. It's like your budget workshops. Your budget workshops, you hear from your department heads. That's between you and your department heads. This is the only opportunity, and the chairman says this time and time again, this is the only opportunity you guys could really speak to each other about items and issues that you have dealing with the county. And I hope I've helped the public in any way that I can clear this situation up. This afternoon, it's a public workshop. All right, Mr. Chairman, I think I've done the best I can. So.
Anyone else have anything for Mr. Morone? Because he's, you know, we got to keep him busy.
Thanks.
I guess not. Sir, you're up next.
Mr. Chairman, I do not have a report for the board today. I feel like I had plenty last time.
It had more than one, that's for sure. So now we're to commissioners' comments. Any commissioners have any comments additionally they would like to make?
I have one, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
It's come to my attention that, as the board will recall, I brought up at a previous meeting about reducing the footprint minimum requirements in R1 to reduce that down to around 700 square feet, which would allow people an opportunity, such as a single person or a single parent that cannot build a huge house at this time. They're a one-income family or one-income household to build a smaller place. And there's been a lot of criticism of that suggestion from different folks on Facebook, and they don't want it here and they don't want it there. But all I was looking for is to allow people more options. If you're a single income household and you're making a medium income of $30,000 or $35,000, $40,000, you cannot build a 2,000 square foot home and pay for it and maintain it and pay the taxes on it and pay the insurance on it. So allowing that minimum square footage from 1,000 feet down some just allows people more options. In certain places in the county, such as St. George Island, where you're going to pay $150,000 to $175,000 for a lot, you're not going to go in there and build a smaller house on a set of pilings 11 feet in the air. So, and these were some of the comments were coming from St. George Island, that we don't want that over here. Well, if somebody wants to spend that kind of money on a lot, on a barrier island, and build a smaller home, so be it. But I don't think that's going to happen. you'll have $100,000 in putting pilings in to put a house on. And you're gonna pay $130,000, $150,000 for that lot. Are you gonna turn around and build a 700 square foot house? I don't think so. But these are some of the complaints that's been added on Facebook. And I was just looking at a way to reduce the minimum square footage in the R1 district to allow somebody an option. If you're in East Point or you're over here in Apalachicola and you got an acre of land, you want to build a house, you can build a smaller house. And then if you happen to get married and your family grows, if it's designed properly, you can extend upon that and make that house bigger, add on to it. So you're starting small, but as time moves forward, and if you happen to get married or something, now you got a 2-income family. You make an expand upon that 700 square foot minimum. Up on pilings, you're probably not going to do that because you got to have additional pilings put in, and the cost is prohibitive. So I don't see it really being a problem for St. George Island. But I just wanted to put that out there. I'm looking to try to help the common guy, not the multimillionaire, the common guy, trying to make a living, trying to have an affordable place to live. As you know, rent is so high, $1,000, $1,200, $1,500, $1,800 a month. And if you're zoned for a trailer, you can already build as small as 450 square feet. So, you know, this is just another option to help address, quote, affordable housing. What is affordable housing? It's whatever you can afford. There is no state programs for affordable housing. There is no county programs for affordable housing. There is no federal program for affordable housing. There's money for low-income housing, but that's not. But if you make $30,000 a year, you don't qualify. You got to do something on your own. There is no grant money for that. So looking at that, and that's what my intention was, and I just want to briefly explain that for the public, so that when you see this on Facebook, it's not about increasing density on an acre of land or anything else, but it allows you to start small and expand upon as you move forward. So I just want to put that out there for the board and the public so that they know.
Yes. You got to reset that. You said low. No, it ain't no money for low. It's money for low. That's the truth, though.
Yeah.
That's how I set up.
Yeah. Any other commissioner comments?
Yeah, I guess so. He's right, because if you look at, I don't see nothing wrong with what commission asked for. It's just, you pass them everything, like you go in the Caribbean. And you, in that area where they got the little house. That's good for a person to start on with. And if they can afford that, some people can't afford it. But people just got to get off that thing where I don't like how it look. They ain't gonna get nobody nothing. They ain't gonna help them buy no house. But they don't like how a house look. Them people, the people who are building the house would like to build it better. But they ain't making the money. They can't afford it. You just can't afford it. They ain't making the money that other people make. It's bad, but it's bad, and it's not bad to say, 'cause if you making $15, ain't nobody holler making 15. A lot of them, some of them is, some of them not. If you making $10 an hour, you can't afford no. You can't afford them big payments. You can't afford the rent, like they said. Rent gone crazy, everything. And if they got some kids and some children to feed, it's gone crazy, food gone crazy. What they want them to do, sleep in a tent? They're doing the best they can do. I mean, it ain't like you gonna let anything get out there. But, and like you said, ain't nobody gonna put them little houses on no island or nothing like that. Unless it's somebody who gonna rent them out. They might do it, but a person who can afford to build that lot, he ain't gonna build nothing like that. But some people, and they in the area, and they need to start off like that so they can do better.
Well, the other thing, Commissioners, I remember Commissioner Parrish mentioned it. I thought I remember him talking about us considering possibly somewhere in the future adding another zoning category to obtain this kind of.
I did mention that, Commissioner, but when you think about it, you can't add in an unincorporated area where you don't have stormwater drainage and all that, and you're relying on ditches. You cannot increase that much density because you got more roofs there. Now you have no place for the water to percolate, and you're gonna cause a flooding problem a lot worse than what it should be. Number two is a lot of your acres are like the acres I live on, are like 125 feet wide, but they're 330 feet deep. That won't accommodate multiple, and then you gotta have multiple septic tanks on an acre of land. And all those things considered, I just don't think that's the way to go. I think we need to keep the same density and just decrease the minimum size square footage. There is an R4 zoning category in our zoning book that will allow you to do additional units on an acre, but you got to be zoned proper and you got to have public water and sewer. In an unincorporated Franklin County, you don't have that. So those are two different issues, but having gone back and looked at the zoning code book and everything else, there are zoning categories that would allow more density, but you got to have public water and sewer in order to do that. And so after carefully considering all that, you know, stay with the 1 unit per acre, just allow a minimum square footage that can be expanded upon should the family grow, should you start now be a 2-income family instead of a 1-income family. And you know, and it just allows people a different option. And most people don't want a smaller, but you take a school teacher that's single, by herself, she don't need a 1,500 square foot house. A smaller house would be fine. So if somebody built a smaller house on an acre of land and then turned around and rented it to a school teacher or a deputy sheriff that's making $35,000, $40,000 a year, it gives them an option. That's all I was looking for, is an option, because there is no money for what they quote affordable housing. Affordable housing is whatever you can afford, because there ain't nobody there to help you. I mean, you know, you pretty much on your own.
Yeah, I see.
And that, just giving people another option is all I was trying to do.
Any more, Commissioner? Go ahead.
You know what the septic tank costs?
It's not cheap. It's not cheap.
Just for a septic.
All that has to be done.
Mr. Chairman, one more thing about this afternoon, not to turn from this discussion, just to remind everybody, the 1:30 public workshop has its own agenda and its own Zoom login, so please don't log in on using this one to get a 1:30 guy. I have to keep them separate to record them separately, especially for the clerk's office for the official recording, okay? That's all I have, Commissioner. I see you guys at 1:30.
Comments? All right, we'll be back at 1:30, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, meeting adjourned.